A young man rises above the Aegean Sea. On his back, two wings of feathers and wax beat against the air. The higher he climbs, the harder he laughs. The sun is right above him now. He has never been this close to the light. And that is exactly what is about to kill him. Before the fall, there's the prison. Daedalus is the finest architect of his age. On the island of Crete, King Minos commissioned him to build a prison unlike any other. A labyrinth so complex, no one would ever find their way out. So intricate, it's said, that even its own builder would struggle to find his way back out. What this labyrinth was meant to contain wasn't an ordinary prisoner. It was the Minotaur, half man, half bull, born of a curse Minos himself had brought upon his family by betraying an oath to Poseidon. Daedalus had built the perfect prison for someone else's sin, but a secret that dangerous never stays without consequence. Fearing Daedalus might one day reveal the labyrinth's design, Minos locks him away too, along with his son, Icarus, in a tower on the very island no one can escape, not by land, not by sea. A decision made not out of casual cruelty, but out of the cold logic of power that tolerates no witness to its own secrets. Minos controls the roads, he controls the ships, he never thought to control the sky. From the tower window, Daedalus watches the seabirds. Patiently he collects their fallen feathers, binds them with wax and thread, curves the frame until it holds the shape of a real wing. He builds two pairs of wings, one for himself, one for his son. For the first time in human history, someone is about to fly, not by the grace of a god, but by the patient calculation of a craftsman. A project no architect, however brilliant, had ever even conceived of before him. Before they leave, Daedalus gives Icarus a single instruction, and it's more precise than most retellings remember. It isn't just don't fly too high, it's fly neither too high nor too low. Too high and the sun melts the wax. Too low and the sea's moisture weighs down the feathers. Survival isn't found in absolute caution. It's found in the path down the middle, a balance, not a limit. A lesson few fathers then or now know how to put into words this precisely. They launch, it works. Daedalus holds his course, steady wings, middle altitude. But Icarus discovers something no human had ever felt before, the intoxication of flight. The higher he climbs, the smaller the sea grows beneath him. Islands shrink to dots, ships become toys. The entire world seems to rearrange itself around him, as if he had suddenly become its center. He can still feel his father's instruction in the tension of his own arms. But a question rises, stronger than caution. What if, just once, he flew like a god instead of like a careful man? He forgets the instruction, he climbs again. The sun is no longer a distant threat, it's directly above him now, and the heat is already melting the wax holding his wings together. One feather comes loose, then another. Icarus beats his arms, but there's nothing left to beat against. He falls, and the same sea that had seemed so small a moment ago becomes vast again. Daedalus hears a cry above him and turns just in time to watch his son vanish into the waves. Nothing remains but feathers drifting on the surface, and a name the Greeks would give that sea forever after, the Icarian Sea. Even today, nautical charts still carry that name, nearly 2,000 years after anyone stopped remembering Icarus's face. This is why the myth has survived nearly 3,000 years without fading. The Greeks had a word for what kills Icarus, and it isn't pride in the modern sense. It's hybris, that exact moment when a newly gained ability creates the illusion that the limits applying to everyone before you no longer apply to you. The Greeks had another word for what precedes hybris. 8. Blindness. It isn't that Icarus sees the danger and chooses to ignore it. It's that the victory itself prevents him for a while from seeing that danger still exists. Icarus isn't alone in this role. Phaethon, son of the sun god, believed by his peers to be merely mortal, is mocked by friends who doubt his divine origin. To prove his lineage, he begs his father to let him drive the celestial chariot for just one day. Helios relents, but the divine horses sense immediately that a mortal hand holds the reins and bolt, setting the earth ablaze until Zeus is forced to strike down his own grandson to stop the disaster. Bellerophon, meanwhile, has already achieved the impossible, taming Pegasus, the winged horse, and defeating the Chimera, a monster no other hero could even approach. It's precisely that real victory that convinces him he deserves to ride all the way to Olympus, the home of the gods themselves. Zeus sends neither lightning nor an army. A single gadfly stinging the horse beneath the saddle is enough to throw him back to earth, broken but alive for the rest of his days. 3 myths, 3 falls, 1 single mechanism. A real achievement becomes proof that the ordinary rules no longer apply. The Greeks even had a word for the correction that inevitably follows: nemesis, not an external punishment, a structural consequence. Icarus doesn't die because he's foolish. He dies because he has just discovered a power no human has ever had. And that power makes him forget he's still, after all, made of flesh and wax. Neither Icarus nor Daedalus were wrong about their actual skill. One truly knew how to fly. The other truly knew how to build. The error is never in the skill itself. It's in the exact moment skill replaces vigilance. And here, the myth is more subtle than most retellings give it credit for. Daedalus's instruction wasn't "stay cautious." It also included, "Don't fly too low." The danger isn't ambition itself. The danger is losing the ability to judge your own trajectory in real time. What kills Icarus isn't flight. It's forgetting that a limit exists at the exact moment he most needed to remember it. A subtle distinction, but one that changes everything. Aiming high isn't the danger. It's stopping to watch where you are while you're aiming. This pattern never stayed confined to Greek mythology. Every time a new ability, a new power, a new technology, a sudden success creates the feeling of having shifted into a different category of existence. The same mechanism activates. This mechanism isn't confined to Greek mythology. In 1912, the engineers of the Titanic declared it unsinkable, not out of dishonesty, but out of a confidence in their own technical mastery so complete it erased in people's minds even the possibility of failure. Modern psychologists have a related name for this: the competence-confidence effect. Daedalus, for his part, reaches Sicily. He's welcomed by King Cocalus, and legend says he hangs his wings in a temple dedicated to Apollo, the sun god himself. He will never fly again. Not out of fear, but because he has understood that surviving one flight grants no right to another. The word Icarian still exists today in several languages to describe an ambition that destroys itself. Flying too close to the sun remains an expression for crossing a limit you knew about but chose to ignore. And what the myth preserves, with a precision most modern retellings lose, is that the answer isn't paralysis. Daedalus flew too. He succeeded. The only difference is that he never stopped watching where he was, instead of how far he could go. The next time an achievement makes you feel like you've shifted into a different category, remember the sky between the sea and the sun. It isn't a trap. It's the place you were meant to stay. The Greeks didn't tell these stories to entertain. They told them because they had observed a pattern that kept repeating in real life, in their cities, their wars, their families, and they needed a language to name it. Myth isn't a primitive explanation of the world. It's a transmission technology, a way of passing a complex observation about human nature across entire generations. Without schools, without books, through story alone. Hate isn't simply failing to see. It's seeing, but having that vision distorted by the state you're in. A warrior who has just won a great battle isn't in the same mental state as an ordinary warrior. His brain has received a massive dose of confirmation. What you're doing works. Keep going. It's precisely at that moment, when everything seems to confirm the right direction, that the trajectory quietly begins to deviate. This is the cruel paradox the myth stages. The more competent you are, the higher the risk of utti. Not despite the competence, because of it. Because every past success is one more piece of evidence that your judgment was sound. And once enough evidence accumulates, judgment itself starts to feel unnecessary. Why check what you've already proven you know how to do? This mechanism doesn't only affect individuals, it affects entire institutions. The great financial crises, 2008 above all, almost all share the same profile. Teams of highly competent experts whose long series of successes had progressively erased, in everyone's minds, the very possibility of systemic failure. Not through malice, through that blindness which success itself builds, brick by brick, until it's complete. Did Icarus have a choice? That's the question the myth doesn't resolve, and perhaps that's its real intelligence. It doesn't say, beware of your ambitions. It says, at a certain level of intoxication, the question of choice itself becomes blurred. This isn't a lesson in caution. It's a lesson in lucidity. How do you stay capable of seeing precisely when everything tells you that seeing is no longer necessary?